look up, you'll look at your family and they won't be there anymore because you weren't. Swim, and he runs behind the library and he's crying and gets home from his last day of school, and then he remembers that his Uncle Jake is coming to, and his Uncle Jake when I don't know my times table, I'm getting picked on, and I can't do any pull-ups, and he starts crying, and Uncle Jake looks at him and says, hey, listen, all these problems that you've got, how to study, learning jujitsu, learning how to swim, overcoming his fear of water, all of them. And one of the parts that's embedded in the story is that Uncle Jake talks about to write his own Warrior Kid code. And in that Warrior Kid code, I pretty much pass forth of the values that I try and give to my kids. And so here's the ways to learn and gain knowledge and asks questions. The Warrior Kid trains hard, exercises, and eats right to be strong. And the Warrior Kid trains to know how to fight so he can stand up to bullies and protect the weak. He's neat and is always prepared and ready for action. The Warrior Kid stays humble, controls his ego, and stays calm. The Warrior Kid works hard, saves money, is frugal, and doesn't waste things, and always does his third book in the series, because each book, young Mark adds a little something to the Warrior Kid code. He learns, and then he adds it to his Warrior Kid. And so those are the values that I try and pass on it. And I also do a kids podcast called the Warrior Kid Podcast, and what the funnest part I've had with that Warrior Kid Podcast, because it started off me just doing, and then I would answer the questions, and kids would say, so I'd answer these great questions from these kids, but eventually what I started doing is I started telling where Uncle Jake would talk about where he was a kid, or when he was a kid, and they would kind of capture that I think kids should have, and that's what the stories do. The stories are values from. So yeah, those are the Warrior Kid Podcast if you want to check that out. And the Warrior Kid book, topic, toxic masculinity. And I'm not a psychologist, certainly. I don't claim to be, somebody that understands everything. But you know what? I have spent a lot of time decent understanding of the male human. And I have 3 daughters, by the way. One of them's 18 and one of them is 9. I was at San Clemente Island, which is a little training site off the coast of South.